Hi, good day. Jo here at woollycottage.com. It's part 2 of season 2 of the Back to Basics range. So the last video that you saw a fortnight ago was me putting together a new inkle loom that I've got. I do have an inklet loom that I've had for donkey's years, and with your inkle loom and your inklet loom, it's for band weaving. So band weaving in the sense that you want to make guitar straps. If you do reenactment, there's these pretty little bands that go around certain clothes in certain periods of time. It can be used for, you can do dog leads, shoelaces, bracelets, all sorts of things that you can do with it and apply it to wearing, using, utilities, or putting on your clothing, that sort of thing, or handbags, handbag straps, shopping bag straps, if you're into making that sort of thing. Good for making details around woven bags and things. Trying to think of other bits and pieces that you can do. Anyway, so it does originate a long time ago, but more from a tablet weaving sort of inspiration, and then eventually the inkle looms were created from a stand that you would sit by, and it was quite tall, but it was tall enough that you could work with your products. And I'll see if I can find a picture and I'll pop it up here of what a traditional band weaving device looks like compared to the modern versions now. But from recollections of bits and pieces that I've managed to find, when it comes to the actual frame of the inkle loom, roughly around about the 17th century, round about then, originally came from France, so they obviously found a way to make it more portable rather than such a large device, especially when you go on the ships and they were going abroad and moving and migrating, so you're talking 3-4 months at a time on a boat. So if you want something to do work wise, earn your keep, because pin money at the end of the day, and it was a craft back then, so people were still wearing these items or using them for belts and that sort of thing. Otherwise, my favourite is tablet weaving, weaving, and we'll get onto that later on. But what I'm going to do for today is just show you how to actually warp up your inkle loom or your inklet loom. It's exactly the same way, okay, regardless of what size they are. I decided to do it on my larger one because you'll be able to see it properly, whereas my inkle loom is quite diddy. Yeah, I thought, well, it'd be easy for you to see what I'm doing with this. Okay, so we'll go through the basics of what it is. I'm going to put down the camera so you can actually see what I'm looking at. Okay, so for your band weaving, because that's what we'll be doing, you need an inkle loom. You need some Texlove heddles or some string to make some heddles. I'll show you how to do these in a bit. So you need to make your own heddles for the length that you are requiring. Okay, we'll show you how to do those in a minute. You'll need some yarn, threads, silks. I wouldn't go with silks for the time being until you've got the gist of what it is that you're doing. I use fine silk when I'm weaving on my inkle loom, on my inklet loom, but I would advise these I get from it's Organic Cotton Detox and Medium, and they are from Anjet Wefblow. You'll find she's got a large collection of different colours. She has, I think, 2 different dimensions on that yarn weights. There's a medium and I think there's a large. So this is the medium one. So I'm going with these 3 colours today. I have rose, I have, it says pistachio, but it looks more like a gold. And I have got this camel colour as well. Okay, so you need that, and you'll need some scissors. Obviously your shuttle, but we'll talk about that on the next video when we actually start weaving on our looms. Okay, today's just all about getting set up and started. All right, so what you've got is your posts with your pegs in. I've taken out a lot of my pegs on this one just to make it a little bit easier for you to understand where I'm at. Okay. Right, so I'll try my best to explain this as if this is the first time I've ever explained this on a video before, so bear with me. I may make a couple of mistakes, but I will correct myself. Okay, so we have got the heddle, or the tension knob, the tension knob here, and then we have a post that is usually quite close to this one, which is for tying your heddles to. Now what we've got is your heddle, which is counted as peg A, Now you've got your peg up here. I don't know why I keep calling it a heddle. It's not, it's a peg. Peg A, your tension knob, peg B, and peg C. Okay, now bear with me, because some of you may have this peg here, which is peg 3, sometimes should be over here on certain brands, okay, but mine is over here. Don't worry about that. I promise it'll all make sense in the end. Okay, so I have got peg 1, peg 2, peg 3, and peg 4. You need 2 on the bottom, okay? No matter where they're positioned on your heddle, that's where they need to be. Because if you look at my inklet loom, the Ashford inklet loom, my tension's in a different place from where I'm used to as well. And it's set up in a slightly different manner. So some different brands have different ways of putting them together, but they all work and do the exact same thing. It's just about understanding yours and figuring it out. Okay, so a lot of the heddles, different brands design them in completely different ways, but they're all with the same principle: to be able to make it tension, to have somewhere to put your heddles, or to use with your tablets. Okay, so what I want to do, what shot is say that your 1, 2, 3, and 4 pegs are the ones that determine the length of your warp. So if you put in more pegs, you would wind them around, but eventually you would come back down to number 4 and then up to number 3, okay, and then back to your tension knob. Number 5, this one here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This one here, well, this one here is going to hold my heddles, which I will show you how to do now. So you want to get yourself some decent cotton. I've got some cotton here. You can use Texlove heddles as well. You can buy them from your local weave supplier. Okay, so, and then cut them to length of what you need. So what you want to do is you've got B here, B, this is your heddle 1, okay, and then this is peg number 1. And what you want to do is establish where you want your heddles to be, if it's adjustable like mine, and you're going to take it around to the top of peg 1, around peg 5, B, round peg 5 and round peg 1. So B, peg 1 and peg 5. And then you're going to do just a little knot up the top, but you're going to do a square knot. So you're going to twist it around once, twist it around again, and then don't do it too tight, otherwise you'll never get it off. And then just put a single knot or an overhand knot in the top of that. And then you're going to cut that, snip it off, and then just snip them down to 1/2 inch on the top. Okay, you can see those little wafty bits there. Now the pattern I'm going to be using today is just a basic pattern that I found. It's called the daisy chain. I only need 12 heddles. Okay, so there's 24 colours that I will be 24 warps that I will be putting around here today, but I only need 12 of those. And the reason is for that is you need to have your heddles around one string, and then you miss one, and then you have a heddle around another warp string, and then you miss one, so you can create an open shed so that you can lift and do, and you'll see this at the end exactly what it is that you're going to be achieving. But you need these. So if you've got a 30 warps that you've got to put on here, you're going to need 15 heddle strings. Okay, so never get rid of them, just keep them to one side and leave them with your weaving kit, that your bag or whatever you put them all in together to store it. So I've already got 2 of these. I'm just going to get on and do the next 10, and I'll catch you in a minute. there I have my 12 heddles for the pattern that I will be doing. So I'll just put them there to one side for the time being. Now what you want to do with your tension is put it in the middle of your slot, because what that will do is help, okay, with the tensioning of your warp. So if once you've got it all done and ready and you need to just adjust the tension of it, it allows you to be able to pull that forward, okay, or even a little bit backwards if you've warped up too tightly, but it gives you room to maneuver back and forth. So the best place to put that is right in the middle. Back a bit. Right in the middle. Perfect. Okay, so from that point, so I'm just reading my notes now. Yep, so loosen your tension peg and put it in the center of the slot. Important not to have it too loose, and later have plenty space either side to adjust. Okay, so I'm going to go with this pattern. I'll just quickly go over this pattern with you so you know why I'm going with these colours, because this is the really basics, rudimentaries of warping. So when you look at a colour chart for inkle looms, you'll always see a colour coding that goes, and each row, so you've got a square here. Now it looks like you're missing gaps, but you're not. You can see straight here, and I have got at the top open and heddle. So this will not have a heddle in it, this colour here, this red square. So if I had red, blue and yellow, I would have this one warped up in an open shed, which I'll show you in a minute. This next strand of warp will be red, and it will be with a heddle. And then the next one will be an open. So by this point, I've already got 3 warp strands on my loom. Then I'll go to a blue, which will have a heddle. And then the next one will be a blue, which will be open, so it won't have a heddle looped over the top of it. And we'll show it, and I go on and on and on and on until I've completed that and it's all ready. Okay, so at the moment I haven't got any of these colours in, but I thought I'll go with these bold colours so you can actually see them on my chart. Okay, I always have a graph book around in my house for when I find any patterns that I find interesting for my inkle loom weaving, just so I can keep a note of them really. And a graph book actually really helps with creating these patterns or designing your own as well, or drawing out a graph of them instead of printing them off. And I think sometimes by doing that, it helps you understand where your colours are going to go and what reactions you need to do later on, especially when you're using tablet weaving cards. Okay, so my gold, I'm going with, or the yellow, I'm going with the goldy coloured pistachio. The blue I'm replacing with this camel, and I've written it down here so I know what colour my codes are. And then the red, I'm doing it in pink. Okay, so go back to my notes and my little diagrams. See, A, B, C, and then that's how you do your little heddle loops around B, round number 1 peg, and then number 5 down the bottom, which holds your heddles. Yeah, Joe. I'm a little bit sad, but it helps me, remind me when I've not done it for ages. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is get this, my pink, which is my first colour that I need for my chart. Okay, and this is going to be an open shaft. Now what I want to do is leave myself a decent length. Now you can do a loop knot and do a square knot and then do a bow, but I find that this is actually easier. And what I do is I open up my heddle, my tension knob a little bit, and then place the yarn, the thread, see here, between the frame of the loom and the tension knob, and then I tighten that up, and that'll hold that in place until I need it at the end when I want to tie up and get ready to weave with. Okay, so from this point I'm now going to, with my cone, go over, oh, it's open weave. Okay, so I'm going to go directly through from here to this one, so straight over the top. Okay, so from the heddle position, okay, because I want an open one, I'm going to go from peg A straight to peg C, under peg 4, to peg 3 and over. Okay, then because I'm not having a shed on there, hold on a second. Okay, so I've removed this peg 3, I've put it over here because really I don't really need it at this moment. I find it a bit confusing because it should be over here where all you would expect it to be and drilled down the bottom here. But I'm just taking it out because I really just need this more than anything else, which is my tension bar. Okay, so you have to always remember, okay, this bit here where your string goes through is your open weave. I'm just going to push those back a little bit, and you don't want the tension too tight, you want it nice and even. But the next bit is going to have a heddle on this piece here, on this strand. So I'm going to take it over peg B, over peg C, onto this far one, and all the way across onto my tension peg, which I'm just going to wrap it around a couple of times now because this is the bit that I need to do. So what you want to do is get the knot end and your loop end, and you're going to fold them over like this, and they're going to go over the top of your warp, and you're going to put the loop end over, and you're going to put this end over here, and they're going to sit like that. Okay, and because my tensions they should be tighter than that. We will come to this at the end. Okay, right, so once again I've got another pink colour that needs to go on here. I may need to redo the heddles again. I'm not quite sure why they're not tight like they should be. Okay, nothing to worry about. I just need the tension to start picking on it, but it should pick in there. Okay, right, so the next one I need to have is an open shaft. Okay, so again I go from the tension peg down here all the way up over C, down to the far end, and then back over to here, and then I'm going to be changing colour. Okay, so I'm at the colour change now, and you can see I've done the 3 pinks, and now I need to do 2 in the what I call camel colour. And all you're going to do is do yourself a decent loop length on your heddle, on your tension. You just want to do some sort of loose knot, but enough to hold the tension on there. So I'm just going to do a square knot over the top of here because they're all going to get tied up later on, and then just one just to hold it in place. Okay, and then from that point I'm going to have a heddle on this one. Open heddle, open heddle. So again, over the top of my first bar, over to my top bar on the other side. Excuse my arms in your way, and then over this far bar. Okay, and all the way back to this section. I'm just going to tie it off because I need to attach a heddle again. So I'm going to get my heddles. I've just given them a bit of an adjustment because I wasn't happy about the actual length of them. So what you do is you want to get your heddle, loop it through your bar, come round the other side, the back side of that strand, that warp length you've just done. Okay, and then put it over the top of your bar, and then you should end up with a type of tension in there. And then you want an open on the next one, so I'm going to go straight along here up to C, or the back top bar, down to the bottom one, and all the way across here. And then I've got a third colour that I need to add in next, so I'm just going to pop this to one side, and hold that there. They'll all tighten up as you use them anyway. So there we go. So we've got open here, you can see those strands, and these ones with the heddles on. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing with my yellow, which I need to just add onto here now. So I'm just going to do a square knot, easy to undo later on, and another square knot over the top of that. Do about the same length, and this one is a heddle again. So every alternative, it should be an open, a heddle, an open, a heddle, and an open. That's the theory behind it. It should always be alternating in between. Okay, so this one's a heddle that I'll be doing next on this colourway. So up over B, over the back of C, to that back bar on the other side, and all the way over to here. Now I've only got one of these, so I'm just going to pop this over here on the back out my way, and I've got to put a heddle on this one. Now they're all going to be loose until they all get tied off, so try not fret about it too much, because I did. Right, so there we go. I'm going to pop that on my heddle peg. I'm going to bring it over the top of my warp and place it over there. And obviously this is a bit loose at the moment because it's not tied off or tied onto anything, but when I go and use that colour again, it will tighten up. Okay, so my next colour, and as I'm going along, I'm just, if you can just see, I'm just ticking off underneath here. I've done that one, and I've done that one, and I've done that one. I've done both the camel ones, and I've just done the yellow one. So now I'm back to 2 camels. One's in an open and one is in the heddle. So I need to get my camel back round here again, and I'm going with an open, which comes from the heddle back up to C, to number 4, and all the way back round again. Okay, so that's an open. Next it will be a heddle warp. So I will come back up over the top first bar, try and undo some of this because it's annoying me, over to the back bar, which is C, underneath the back one, and then back up to the tension. And I'm just going to wrap that around there a minute. I'll just get another strand of my heddle. I'm going to loop that over my heddle peg, push it up, take the knotted end, loop it over the top of that strand, and then loop it over there. So it's looped over the top of each warp. Okay, so from that one now I'm on, so I've done both the camel, and then I'm going back to the pink, which is over here and wrapped around. So I need to bring my pink over and undo this one here just for a second. I'm going to move this round to the back so it's out my way, and I'm not too fussed about that being loose because I'm going to get back to that in a minute. So from that point, and now I'm going to go, don't worry about all twisting up underneath, they will straighten out as you go along. Okay, they will look a little bit messy, don't worry about it. So the next one I need to do is an open on the pink. I'm just going to give myself a bit of a length of that, and again I'm going back through the open section of my weave for the open shaft, back over that last peg at the top, that back corner, down to the bottom corner, and all the way up to my tension. Then on this next one, colorway on the pink, again I want to use a heddle on here, so I need to go over this top one, this one here, over this back top one, under the bottom one, and all the way back over to my tension bar. And with that I am just going to just weight underneath my block, grab myself another heddle, and then loop that underneath my tension my heddle peg, loop it over the top from behind, see here, from behind this strand, this one here, over the top of it, and then loop it over that. Dropped my cone on the floor. Right, so I'm going to tick those two off. So there we go. So I'm following my chart along and I've ticked off which ones I'm done. So next to is an open camel and a heddle camel. So I need to get the camel out again. Just unwind that for the back of this peg. And then this one is going to go, it's going to be open. So it'll wind around my tension knob. It'll go through these two here, up over the back one, down under the bottom corner one, and then back over to here. So that's the open. And then I'm going to do one for a heddle. So I'm going to go over the top of this top bar, over that section there, and then this one. A heddle always goes on these top ones, okay? Your open shaft always goes in between these two. And again, I'm just going to wrap that around there at a second while I just get one of my heddle strings. I'm going to whiz that over the top of that heddle peg, wrap it over the top and from behind, and then over the top of that warp, and I put that in there. Okay, so I've done both of those, the open and the heddle. Now I need the gold, so I have to come just undo this piece here, bring this round this side, get my gold, and just untwist that. And now the gold isn't open, so I'm just going to give myself some length and open again from the heddle to the back top corner, over the bottom corner one, and all the way back again. And then that's that one done. I'll leave that where it is, bring it over here so it's out of the way, because I only use this 3 times on this pattern. Okay, so that's that one. The next one, I'm just going to tick that off. Next is camel again, and I need a heddle and an open. So because I've just done an open there, it's now time for a heddle. So again, a bit more length on this string. Just push that over. So I'm going over the top from this point on the tension, back over to the back beam, over this, or underneath that bottom corner, and then through there. And then I'm just going to wrap that round a minute while I just add the tension, the heddle. So over your heddle peg, bring it behind the warp that you've just done, loop it over the top, and then feed that over your heddle peg. Okay, next one I need to do is an open on this camel colour. So again, I go through, I go over the back peg, under the bottom corner peg, and all the way back again to my tension peg. And I'm going to put that like that there to one side. So I've done both of those. Now it's the turn for the pink. So the pink, because I've just that's an open one that's there, there's the heddle, there's the open, and it's back to a heddle length again. So over the tension, over the first peg, over the next top peg, down to the bottom peg at the corner, and all the way back here. I'm just going to wrap that around there a minute while I get another strand of my heddles. I'm going to loop it over the peg, bring it behind, and then lift it over the top like so. The next one calls for it to be open. So open goes through the middle between that first peg and this peg here, right over the back top peg, under the far bottom corner peg, and then back over to this section. And I want to just plop that to one side for a moment because it's the next colour, which is 2 camels. So here's the camel colour here, and my first colour, I'm just going to push these over a bit and give me some room. Okay, so the next colour I have got is the camel, and my diagram tells me that I need a heddle. So I go over the top first peg, over the far peg at the top, down to the very bottom corner peg, and back over to my tension peg. Wrap that round a little bit, grab myself a heddle, slot it over the heddle peg, bring it behind the strand I've just done, lift it over the top of that strand, and then feed that onto the heddle peg. The next one is an open warp, so I'm going to go from that point of the tension back over the top of the far one, ignoring this one because this is your heddle peg if you think about it, right over the back bottom one, and then back to place. You just cross that off and cross that off. The next colour is my gold, so I'm just going to grab that now, bring it over, and the gold is a heddle because we've just done a heddle and we've done an open, so again it's another heddle colour. So from that point up and over the top bar, over the back bar, at the back bottom bar, and then back into place. And don't need her again now, she can get tied off in a moment, so we'll leave her there, but she needs to get, I need to put just a bit of tension on this first while I just put on her heddle. Grab her heddle, put the loop through, come in from behind that gold there that I've just put on, fold it over the top, and then place it over the top of that heddle peg. And I'm just going to unravel these now. Okay, now what I want to really do is find this heddle, and I want to tie that off. So in an ideal world I should be able to undo this knot that I put in there, and I'm going to tie them off together. And when you do this, it'll look a little bit messy, but I promise it will straighten itself out when you start to weave with it. So I'm just undoing this loose square knot that I did, and I want to tie off these ends together. And I'm going to do a double square knot, so I'm going to feed that through once, feed it through twice, so it's quite tight. Okay, and then feed that through once, feed it through twice, and that's nice and taut now. And there should be a bit of bounce in it, but not a lot. And your strings might stretch. So that's one colour change done and out the way. I won't be using that gold again. I'll just snip those off. There's a bit of tension in there, but it's nice and it's got a bit of bounce. Okay, so I've done that last yellow, and I'm back to the camel again, and there's the last two on the camel that I have to do. So one's an open, so I've just done a heddle, now I'm doing an open. So through these two again, up to the back bar and all the way down the bottom bar, and bring it across here. Okay, so that's an open, and then the second one and the last one of this colour is a heddle. So I'm going to take it over that top bar, round the back bar, down the bottom bar, and then back to here. And I'm going to attach my heddle, loop over this bit, bring over this bit, behind this one I've just done here, over the top of that one, and then place it over the top of my heddle. Okay, I've got 1, 2, so those two are done. So I need to now tie them off. So I need to locate the one I did to start with and just undo this little knot. It's a bit fiddly. Excuse all the horns tooting in the background. Okay, so I'll just undo this knot, nearly there. There we go. So I want to take that off and put that here and then tie these two pieces together. So again, I'm going to do another square knot. So I've got my knot behind the strand here, and I'm going to feed this through twice. So I wrap it around once, wrap it around again, tighten it up, and then I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to wrap it around my loop once, like an overhand knot, but I'm doing 2 twists around. And there we go. So all of those have got a bit of tension to them. I'm going to cut that off, cut that length off, and then that's that last colour done. And then I've got 3 strands of my pink left to do, and then we're finished. So I'm just going to push them over to give me a bit more space to work with. Okay, so the pink, I need an open heddle, so that goes over my tension knob, through these two and back over the top, the back bar, under the bottom back bar, and in here I have 1 heddle left, which is the colour I've got to do next, which is this rose. So the heddle goes over the top of this front bar, all the way over to the back bar, underneath the bottom back bar, and then to here. And I'm just going to tie that off while I put this last lash on. I'm going to put that in there, round behind that last one I've just done. Hard to see because it's a skin colour. And then loop that over there, push them over, and then the last one is an open warp. So through here, over the top of there, underneath the back bar, and all the way over here. And then I want to find my original pink one, so I just looped it around my tension bar, so it should just, and so pop out. There we go. And then I'm going to tie these two together. Again, a square knot over, over, tie tight. Not tight, but enough to give it a bit of bounce. And again, a double over. And then that's that done. So what you will have is set strands, warps that look like these. So you've got an open, a heddle, an open, and a heddle, and that's how it should always be laid up when you're setting up for a weave. There should never be 2 heddles together. There should never be 2 opens together. There should be even in between. And then you want a nice bit of bounce in there. So you've got your tension here, and there's your shaft there. Close it and open it. So we'll figure that out anyway. So that's how you get going with that, and we will see you next time. I may need to do a bit of tweaking. It does seem a little bit odd. I do not have enough room. Don't have enough room for my weave to go through. I have a funny feeling I may need to go back to that one. Let's have a look. Shall we do it now while I'm here? Shall we have a look now while I'm here? We'll hold these all in one hand so I don't lose them. There doesn't seem to be enough room for me to lash on. So you just open and shut. Yeah. Okay, so I've had a bit of a tweak with mine. As I say, all looms are different, and this is the first time I've ever used this one specifically. Right, so what I've done is I've taken out this peg that was over here because there wasn't enough room for me to lift up my open, right? And I've put that, my heddles on that back beam. Definitely seems to be a hole missing in here that I'm not quite sure about, and this doesn't seem to do anything whatsoever. So I'm going to have a play around with mine, but that is how you warp up your loom anyway. So the section that has no heddles lifts up, and when you want to do the heddle for the down weave, you press that down, and there you can see you have an open shaft. See, I can get my thumb, my shuttle all the way through that, and then you lift up for your next weave where you've got an open. So that's the principle. Everything's warped up correctly. It's just the heddles were in the wrong, on the incorrect peg. It didn't make any sense to my brain. I couldn't understand what was going on. So that's all I've done, is literally taken that peg off for the time being, moved my heddles from this to here, and now I can actually weave with it and create the down and the up, or the open, down and open. Okay, but you need enough bounce in your fibre on your warp to be able to do these actions when you're weaving with them. Okay, so next video we will get started on how to start off your weaving and how to set it up here, and then how to weave away, and then move and adjust it. So when you get to a point that your shuttle won't go any further because the heddles are in the way, then you loosen off your tension and gently twist it around. Okay, so just a note as well, your knots, you want to keep your knots all roughly in the same place within an inch of each other. That just means that you've got more warp to play with. If you had some knots up here and some knots down here, you're literally taking a fair whack of your warp off yourself. Also to note as well, when you are warping, you're going to roughly end up with about 8 to 12 inches of waste warp on the ends, which is really nice for doing tassels and that sort of thing. And we will finish off the entire weave and see what the end result looks like. So there we go. So yeah, trial and error. I have been doing this for years, but when you've got a new gadget, it's really quite hard to understand how they've thought of it, especially if they're not inkle weavers anyway. I may need to drill in a hole myself into the item, into the loom, just so I've got that length for the heddle in there, because I'm a bit confused as to why it won't fit in. There's definitely, I think, a hole missing, but we'll adapt. That's what we do. We adapt. We figured a way around it. I can now weave on this without having to undo it all and redo the warp. So I'm quite happy with it for the time being. Yeah, it's going to take a bit of getting used to with this brand of inkle loom. But we'll go along with it. So I will see you in a fortnight's time, and I'll get you started on how to weave. If you're looking for any others, there's lots of Shat's weaving on YouTube. You can get going on there if you want to. Otherwise, you can wait for me, and I will see you in a fortnight's time. So thank you very much for watching today. Yeah, not how I planned this video to go. I thought it'd be, but when it dawns on you that last minute, doesn't it? It dawns on you like, yeah, there's something not quite right with this. And it was the position of my heddles. I just couldn't get that open shaft to move because that peg was in my way. Anyway, we sorted it now. It will work. I will be able to weave on this, and we will get to that point, as I say, in a fortnight's time. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Subscribing to my channel is free. It doesn't cost you anything at all. It just helps the algorithms notice that I'm getting more followers and people coming to watch me whenever they got spare time. Leaving that thumbs up really does help as well. It gets me noticed on the YouTube channels and what to watch next. And leaving a comment, a suggestions or anything like that. Maybe somebody's got a Dale's loom at home and you might be able to help me figure out why there isn't a hole for my heddle peg to go in. Very bizarre, very confusing, but any help you can give me is muchas gracias. Much appreciated. Take care of yourselves and I will see you in a fortnight, and I will catch you next Wednesday for a live chat. Take care for now. Bye.